Yeah, go
Just a
ahead.
quick question. What is the difference between this call and yesterday call, and is it a typical every week on Friday?
This is something new. The thing is this, I wanted to record this video and then put this video up on the back office for people to see. But I thought, let's quickly get a whole bunch of people in, 100, 200 people, and I recorded with you guys and do it a little bit more, family-like. So where we can ask questions and then we load this up for everybody all over the world to see. So it's a little bit different than the weekly call. It's not a weekly call. This is something that I am seeing in the data, and I must let everybody know what I see.
Thank you, Marius, for doing this.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
thanks so much, Marius.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
we
really
about
like
people
it.
making money, and people must see this. I'm just going to share my screen here. Okay, so we're going to start with this recording now, and I'm just going to share here. For those of you who have not seen what Donald Trump has tweeted, well, I shouldn't say Donald Trump, but the president of the USA. Let's have respect. I mean, he's still the president. If it was anybody else, we would have still said Mrs. President or Mr. President. Let's have a look and see what he has tweeted here. I just want to get down to that tweet about Bitcoin. I don't know, has anybody of you guys seen that? Or
Yeah, but he said it's funny because he said it's not money in his tweet. I think I sent you a text about that. He said, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies which are not money. So I'm wondering if they'll treat it as money for the tax man.
Yeah, I've got a funny story for you guys while we're waiting. Remember when he had his show, The Apprentice? His second in command was named George, and he came to my city promoting his book at the time, and I actually introduced George to an audience here, and he was talking a lot about Trump, and this is probably 15 years ago, and he basically said he's strategic about everything. There's not anything he haphazardly is not strategic about. And so my perspective on this is, and he told us some really interesting things. And my thought is, he's not just thinking about his presidency next year. He's thinking about his entire lifetime. He's planning out where his life is going to be in 4, 10, 20, 30 years from now. So everything he does is clearing his path for himself, for himself, believe it or not.
yeah, absolutely, and that's what it is. So let's quickly have a look at this. What Donald Trump, the president of the USA, tweeted out. He said, "I'm not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which
Which
are
are
not
not.
money, and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, including drug trade and other illegal activities." Now, I can't believe that 61,000 people liked this and retweeted 17. It's unbelievable. The good thing of this is helping us in the speed up of time. And I'm going to show you now what we are seeing here. So this will just bring a lot more awareness. The first thing that I'm going to do is to start with Bitcoin here. Most of you guys know that we have been talking about the 53-day algorithm cycle. Every 53 days, we have like a very big, massive move upwards. And we were the first in the world to identify the 53-day cycle. We actually came here way back in December 2018 and said that this is when that long downturn happened. And that lasted 53 days from the spike to the down. And then we spiked upwards. And every 53 days is a significant spike upwards. This one here too, a significant spike where we broke certain technical indicators. Then 53 days later, we come here to this date here, the date that I've always put on our reports and said that this specific date is something that we just need to watch for. Now, 53 days later, what I said is that I'm going to expect another break upwards, a significant break. Remember, we were talking about this A box here. Now, remember, we have finished our cycle, the CC. Let's go back here. See this A, B, the C, D? That cycle has completed. Done. It's over. It will never, ever come back again. The cycle is gone. And that cycle is the cycle that we said was our first cycle that we were looking for. And we marked it with like a pink oval line. And there's your pink oval line. For the new people here, that double A, double B there, C, D, that's done. Then what happened is that we had this breakout here up into box A, where we said the new upcycle now begins. And weeks ago, we've put it up and said the new cycle is now beginning here with box A. What I'm expecting here, I'm expecting that we are going to have something here, a lower point here somewhere around here, which will be your B block. Not necessarily B and B minus, but let's just talk about a lower point. I'm expecting that at this point here, that Bitcoin could potentially go as low as this red line there. Remember that red line that we put in weeks ago and said that that is the line that could potentially stop Bitcoin from going lower. Now, just bear with me as I show you something here now. I believe that we are going to go sideways a little bit. And we could potentially drop as low as this figure here of 9,900 to about 10,000, more or less. It's like I said the other day, don't worry about $100 here, $200 there, $500 here. Don't worry about it. Let's have a look at the big view picture. So I'm expecting that we're going to go sideways. We are again going to break this brown line, which is the 22 mathematical algorithm line, which will drop Bitcoin right into this box here. And let me just draw that so that everybody can just see that. I expect that we could go sideways, maybe drop in this box. But come here the 18, 19, 20, next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Again, guys, a day or two, here or there. But I want you to focus on the long-term big view picture. Once we come to the end of this channel, can you see this yellow channel here? The yellow channel. Once we come there, we're going to have a break upwards. And that break upwards is going to go according to this green line here, where Bitcoin is going to break above 15,000 there. Okay, it's going to break 17,000. And guys, it's going to hit our target that we identified months ago, $22,000. Guess what? I believe this could happen as close as 15 August. 4 weeks. And this is what I say. This is the speed up of time. And most of you guys that were on the webinar yesterday, you heard me say that I said that I believe there could be a speed up of time. Everything is just happening so fast now. And I'm going to get into Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash and show you what we see there. So in short term, expect Bitcoin to go sideways, maybe a bit of a drop. And when it touches around about 10,000, 9,900, that's it. It's game over. We will never, ever see Bitcoin at that level, in my opinion now. This is according to the data that we are reviewing. It's going to go upwards and break 15, 17, and head into $22,000. Faster than what we said. Initially, just to give you an idea, if you look at the old videos that we had, we've been talking about this date here on the bottom of 9 September up to 18 September. And we said, guys, that is the date where we are heading into this figure here to break our all-time high of $20,000. But I believe it's going to happen earlier. We get a target here at this point here of 28,000, and then later on here, on that point here of about 18 September, we hit into 30,000 Bitcoin. Believe it or not, but this is what we see. I'm just presenting you what we see. Now, let me get into Litecoin, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen with Litecoin.
Marius, can I ask one question there, please?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thanks for the webinar, by the way, and appreciate what you're sharing with us. My question is, isn't that not structurally unhealthy for any assets, including what with Bitcoin right now? We bottomed out in December. We've had this parabolic rise. We have not gone down to really correct anything healthily-wise as far as the structure is concerned. What you're saying that we're going to go down to about 10,000, I don't see that as a correction as such. So isn't that long-term unhealthy for Bitcoin that we are not really correcting to make a much more stronger structure for the future?
It is so, Parvus, and I also had a look at that. My team and I, we went through it, and we actually wanted to get you involved as well, man. My apologies, Parvus, but we should have had your comments as well, because you bring valuable information to the table. That's a great question, guys. Isn't it unhealthy for Bitcoin just simply to rise parabolically like what it has done really here now. From the bottom here, what Parvus is saying here, see that big move. And now suddenly we're moving up to 22 and 35. And it's even going to take us up to $80,000 before we have a significant pullback. When I came out in the beginning of the year and said that we are in a granular cycle, the likes that the world has never ever seen. Now remember, the word granular cycle doesn't exist. So what we are seeing here is something that the world has never ever seen. We would have those questions and say, isn't it unhealthy? Isn't it a little bit strange that we can go up like this? Of course, guys, we are going to ask those questions. But what I see in my data, this is what I'm presenting to you right now. I believe that we are in a granular cycle that will take Bitcoin from where we are now, from this 22,000 to 31 to 35 to $80,000. Now we are going to have some pullbacks here, but those pullbacks appear to me to be very, very minimal. For example, this pullback here, now keep in mind that this is actually your leg 1, 2, 3. Now that pullback there, before we headed into this 5th leg here, the final leg, that should have been way, way longer than what it was. But if you zoom in and you look at that time frame there, that time frame, let me just have a look and see what that is. From that high point there to this down point, 14 days. Where have you ever seen this? This is why I say, guys, this thing has got so much strength, so much momentum. This is how we're going to get to 3.7 million and maybe faster than what all of us think. I don't know if that answers your question really, but this is a beast that is in play here.
I'd like to ask a question. Sorry, just to follow. I'm sorry, to the other speaker to bump in. Just want to follow up on that question so it all fits in. So my next question would be: if Bitcoin is going to rise the way you're explaining now, where is that going to leave the altcoins then? I mean, they're already hammered as they are now. I mean, what are if Bitcoin goes the way it is, they're all going to go to zero then, aren't they?
Parvus, this is the thing that I'm going to explain to you. Remember on the webinar that I said at a certain time, and I said at 18 September, from that point onwards, cryptocurrencies like the altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin, but it's going to happen earlier. And this is what I'm going to show you now, Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to ask a question, since we're on Bitcoin, Marius, if I may.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm a little bit confused. Are we saying right now then that 8,000 or 7648 is not going to be reachable at all?
Not at all.
Pretty much.
Not at all. Boris, yeah, exactly. Remember this, yesterday we asked that same question on the webinars, and I said that this line here, which is the Python y-axis, and I want people to clearly look at this, then I said that this Python y-axis is going to be the support. But then after studying this a little bit further, look at this 2B algorithm line. When the 2B algorithm line crosses this now, in the next 3 or 4 days, it's game over, guys, because this thing is heading upwards and upwards. Now, this will still be your support line here. Now, remember that red line here? That red line is the line that I said Bitcoin must not cross that line at all. I don't want Bitcoin to cross that line. And that's what we said, that if it does, the secondary support is the Python y-axis at about 7576. Now, guys, if Bitcoin crosses downwards the Python y-axis, we are selling because Bitcoin will go to $2,000. Now, I don't see this happening because there's so much strength. But Boris, to get back to your point, as this pink line, imagine now that pink line moving upwards here. As it moves upwards, the support becomes a lot more. So as we move up and up and up, you're going to see the support becomes 9.5, 10,000 Bitcoin. That pink line will now forever be the support up till we reach about 35,000. Then we get different support. So that will go upwards, and that will be our support as we move onwards. As a matter of fact, when we hit $22,000, your 14,000 will be the support. So I just like to play on the maximum low point. The maximum low point at this moment is about 7.6. But keep in mind, as we move up, that line moves up as well. And that pink line will follow Bitcoin as Bitcoin goes. When you have this pink line and the Bitcoin movement, the brown line, the 22 MAE, don't worry if you don't understand it, but just have a look at this, you know, for everybody now. I know you understand it, Boris. But the pink line and the brown line is going to follow each other like twins upwards. So
hello, Marius.
I hope that answers the question. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, it's me, Alex. I have another question. You say now the low point should be around the 17th and the 18th of this month, but Bakkt is launching their testing platform on the 22nd. Don't you think that that will actually put a lot of buy pressure in it, and that maybe the low point will not be even reached regarding to Bakkt?
Yes, it is possible if I understand you correct. Remember, what I'm saying here is a probability. Bitcoin has got a lot of strength. I do expect Bitcoin to come down and touch there, maybe over this weekend perhaps, to touch a low point here in this blue box here. And that point there is anywhere from about 10,000 to 9,900. And again, guys, $100 here, $200 there, $500 there, in that range. Does that answer your question, or?
So for any new position,
yes, thank you,
buy
Marius.
order has to be around 10,000 then? If somebody is not out of Bitcoin, for example.
Yeah, exactly, Boris. Remember, guys, we were expecting this to happen. We came out and said that we expect Bitcoin to do this and then go up and then come down and drop into a lower point there, around about there. With the speed up of time, everything has contracted. And if you look at that, which I've just done now for you, let me just delete that. That play, that whole play that I just showed you here is already there. And there's the drop. And then we go up. So everything is contracting instead of happening over a period of 2 months or 3 months. This is now going to happen over 8 weeks, 9 weeks. Everything is squashed and it happens faster.
So basically what you're saying, Marius, is that we've already hit the A+ box already then?
I believe we did, yeah. And this is the data, guys, that when I did the presentation yesterday, the webinar, we knew this data, but I just couldn't confirm it. But now I believe that we have confirmed the data and everything is squashed up.
Can you bring that A box down so it makes it clear for everyone, and also obviously not for us, but also for people who are not watching this, so that they don't get confused about it?
You mean this one here, Parvas, or?
Yeah, that needs to come lower then, doesn't it? So everyone knows that we've
done.
No,
we can actually delete that.
Okay, delete.
Yeah, because that will happen. Remember, we're now in this cycle here, the new A, B, C, D cycle. The new A, B. So in effect, what we can do, and my apologies to change it there, that will be your B. So there we go. That's your B. Now your C leg is this leg here. I can literally now go and put a box in here and say that there's my C leg. And then we have a bit of a drop here into your D, which completes your D. Now look at this, guys. Similar like the C plus here and DD leg here. We can have a CC there and a DD there, and then we shoot up again to 35,000. So this is unreal, the data. If I am correct with this, and we'll find out, 18 July, 19 July, at the end of this algorithm data, every single time we have a bit of a low and a drop, and then come here the 18, 19, 20, we have a push upwards into this level here, which will eventually break the $15,000 cycle. It's going to break the $17,000 level, and I believe that we could touch very close to 22. And remember, weeks and weeks ago, we said that our new target is 22,000. I knew we were going to get there, but I just thought we we're going to head there later into September, October. Now remember this, I also want to say that in the beginning of the year, I said that we are going to break the all-time high in what date? In what date? Many of you remember this. We said we're going to break the $20,000 level in the latter part of January of 2020. Is everybody agrees with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we've always said that. We always said that, okay? We said the all-time high in Bitcoin is going to be broken the latter part of January. Then I came out and said, listen, wait a second, there's a speed up of time. We now see that it's going to be broken in October. And we said the latter part, the third week of October, is where we break the all-time high in October. Now I'm saying to you that we are going to break the all-time high? Yes, somewhere 15 August. Why? The reason is between 15, and let me just make it clear here, see there, we talk about a 30-day cycle towards 15 to 18 August. The reason is, guys, as soon as this 53-day cycle begins, and I'm getting into technical things here, I don't really want to get into it because every time we get into technical things, then people ask a lot of questions, you know. But this cycle, once you get into a 53-day cycle, runs for about between 28 and 32 days. And that is your high point every single time. Every single time. It's a little bit more complicated to understand because you have to work it backwards and forwards, and then you get to these times. And you get a plus month and a negative month, a plus month and a negative month. And you have to take into account the negative equation. But let's look at this. This one here is a positive month. That positive month goes between these dates here of 28 and 32. And that will be the high point of 22 to 22,000 more or less. Let's just talk round figures, 22,000. Don't hit me on the head when we hit 21,800. Okay, I'm just giving a round figure here. The point is we're heading into a higher point, a new all-time high for Bitcoin. Let me quickly go into Yeah, go ahead.
Marius, this is Jim. So is this compression of time, is that going to be really, really good for our Ethereum and Litecoin farming, or is it going to be bad?
No, it's good for us. I just don't believe that we can farm anymore. Bitcoin is moving so fast and cryptos are moving so fast that the time to farm is coming to an end. Remember, we said in the beginning of the year that in the first 6, 7, 8 months of the year, we'll be able to farm. You can farm cryptos. But once we get to a point where we create velocity, and we were talking about velocity and momentum at that time, then the farming opportunity is going to end. It doesn't mean that, Jim, that farming is over. I'm going to show you in the cryptocurrencies where we're going to farm again. There's certain vital points, but each coin is going to be different. Now, let me get into Litecoin and we quickly talk about Litecoin. I'm going to talk about Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and then we're going to end this video and we can stay on and have a discussion here. Think about this now. Okay, in Bitcoin, we talk about this date here of 18 July. And then we talk about a next date, which is 9 September. Why? Because we talk about a 53-day algorithm and another 53-day algorithm that ends on this specific date. Could it be on that date that we have another spike upwards and it takes Bitcoin to 35? As a matter of fact, my target there was 35,000. I'm not going to get into that now, but just keep in mind that the target there will be 35. We can have another spike here, a spike upwards. It'll take Bitcoin to 35,000. But focus on this date here. This date here of 18 July is the end of the 53-day algorithm cycle. Now let's go in Litecoin. See here, I've got Litecoin here at 19 July, the end of the algorithm cycle. Now, remember this, we said that at this point here, that is on 18 September where the 1,000% gain in Litecoin is going to start. But guys, the start is actually earlier. In our analysis now, it starts at about 19, 20 or 21 July. In that week, the latter part of that week, that is where this 1,000% gain starts. The first spike upwards is going to give us a 171 or 177% gain to take us approximately here to this figure here of 288%. Now, what will happen here? Now, one thing that I just want to clarify here, remember we were talking about this heartbeat for Litecoin. And I said that when Litecoin does this, Litecoin now is expected to go sideways like this. It's not going to break out over this weekend. It's going to come to this point here. And I believe that we are going to head downwards here and have a big spike upwards again, round about, let me just move this out, round about to this level here, still about 125, maybe up to about $130. And then it's going to come back up, down again. But it's going to happen very, very quickly. And then the spike starts. Now, remember what I said, that heartbeat. Let me just put that heartbeat in there. On yesterday's webinar, I was talking about this heartbeat. When you see that heartbeat, which should be in the range of about 80 to 100%, it could be little. It could be, in this case, it shows a little bit less. But don't worry if it shows less. Have a look at this heartbeat. You have a big drop, and this drop, remember, this can even go as low as 75. But the point is, we must have a drop and then a quick uptrend. I call this the heartbeat. The heartbeat of Litecoin starts at this point and it goes parabolic upwards. It breaks above this channel, it breaks 189. That 189 level that we had, which was the elusive 188, it will slice through that. And I believe it's just going to go up. This literally, guys, happens in about, I always don't want to give dates, but it happens in a period of about, from here, it happens in about a period of about 14 days. Wherever that 14 days are, the 14 days can be at the end of that period, or the 14 days can be somewhere in the middle. But it takes 14 days, bang, and it hits $288. Okay, so to reiterate, now can you guys remember that in some of your other charts, I'm going to bring up the other chart quickly for you. Let me just see if I can save this as, no, I can't save this. But anyway, in one of our other charts, I may be able just to load that quickly without saving this. And then I'm going to show you what we had for Litecoin initially, and I'm going to show you how it actually sped up. Let that just quickly load. See if we have a chart here. There we go. This is actually the old chart. Now, many of you remember this chart. Now, this is going to be a typical example, and it's going to show you how time has sped up. Now, can you see this? This is the heartbeat in that pink box. It drops down, it shoots up, it goes sideways, and there you have your 1000% breakout. Now, remember we said that this will happen at around about year 18 September. This is only for visual purposes. We had to stretch it out to get all the data on the screen. But we had a time frame here for Litecoin to break out, and that was, I think it was about year at 18, oh, there's the date. See there, there's the date. So that date was about year. But now what I'm saying is that breakout of this 1000% is going to happen a lot earlier. Let's go back here and have a look here. It's going to happen here, guys. Here at 19. It starts on 19, 20, or 21 July. That 1000% breakout happens earlier. And this is one of the reasons why we are doing this presentation now and this webinar. And afterwards, I'll record this and load it up for everybody to see. So this happens earlier. Any questions on that before we go to Ethereum?
Hey, Marcus, this is York from Sydney. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. My question is, so the 288% is the first target. So 14 days, any time between 18th of July and 18th of August. So when do you see the 1000% target actually being hit time-wise? It's a difficult question.
No, it's not a difficult question. It's actually an easy question. What happens is, remember, this is 1000%. There is your first 177%. And then what happens is, it pauses a little bit, and then it shoots up again, another 100%. Now remember, when you have Bitcoin there at $288 or $300, if it goes up 100%, your Litecoin, is now worth $600 per Litecoin. So it goes in stages, and I believe that the all-time high for Litecoin is going to be, and remember guys, this is an educated guess now with all the information that I have. Let me just bring this calendar up, and that will probably give you a little bit more, let's say if we click here. So we're going to go through August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Here in April of 2020 is going to be the high point, in my opinion, for all altcoins. And at that point, you're going to see that we will be way past 1000% Litecoin. Now, remember earlier, months ago, I said that we see a few coins. We didn't know which coin it was. And then we came out and said that Litecoin goes up 1000%. But 1000%, guys, I'm only using this as a baseline. Because if I tell everybody in the world and say that we are going to go up 3,000%, people can't comprehend it. But what I'm going to say in this webinar now is that we are going to go up more than 1,000%. And I'll probably just leave the comment there. But you are going to see the break of $1,000 Litecoin very quickly. So, but I won't get into the details here now. One of the reasons I also don't want to go into the details of that now is because I can give you any figure, but I want to base my figure upon clear results. And before I get to that point, and as we go forward, I will have a lot more data. And then I can come, rather than come out and say, guys, I see this based upon this data. At the moment, I can plug out any figure, but I can tell you clearly that we see way above 1,000% for Litecoin.
Thanks, Marius.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's go into, okay, any questions on Litecoin here?
Well, I do, if I may, Boris again. So the Litecoin, like in my example, my case, a lot of my funds are tied into Litecoin right now, and I'd like to add to Bitcoin. So as Bitcoin goes, so goes everything else, and we've seen it. It goes up, everything goes up. It goes down, and everything goes down. And a lot of times when it goes up, it takes liquidity out of all alts, and they fall. So I'd like to, do something where I add to my Bitcoin position. And you just mentioned that we expect a drop. Well, it could drop everything else with it. So I guess I need to make a decision at what sell stop I need to put my, my Litecoin at to move funds over. And I was just from yesterday's webinar and from previous explanations, I was under the impression that we're going to go up to this 180 and then higher before we have a drop. But now it looks like we will have a drop prior.
Exactly, Boris. And remember this, Boris, time is just contracting, and everything that we saw that will happen in 2 months will literally happen in a very shorter period of weeks now.
So would you recommend selling some Litecoin and switch to Bitcoin since we expect such a big run in Bitcoin?
Yes, you can. I would definitely recommend it, that you hold about 20% of your portfolio in Bitcoin. Now, remember this, guys. I'm going to tell you this now. Let's quickly go back to Bitcoin. This is important what Boris is actually saying here. And I do apologize, Boris, to change the stance that we had on the webinar yesterday, but I just had to validate the information before I came out. I just didn't have enough time to do the data. And this is why you probably know that I was a little bit hesitant yesterday on the webinar, because I knew there's new data and I just didn't have time to look at it. But let's have a look at where this is now. Bitcoin is at that point. When it reaches, and this is what I said on the webinar as well yesterday. Remember I said that we see Bitcoin going up 100%. Okay, Boris? And I hope everybody can validate that. Remember I said that I see the next move in Bitcoin is only going to be 100%. And I said that in the last week's webinar as well and the week prior. Now look at that, guys. From where we are now, there we go, 92%. Let's go back, Boris. Let's go back to Litecoin. Look at that target there, 177%. Litecoin is going to outperform Bitcoin. Now, remember what I said, and I just want to clarify this as well. I said that the only time that altcoins will outperform Bitcoin is from 18 September onwards. This was the date that I had. This was the date. But now, because of a contraction of time, where time is speeding up, we now see it happening earlier. So you're probably going to see that outperformance here around about this date of about 26 July, when it really starts taking effect. So if you invest in Bitcoin, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, and I've already actually moved money into Bitcoin, and I've moved some cash over so that I can buy Bitcoin at a lower level. Now, I want to make this very clear to people that are on this call. We've got thousands of members all around the world, and we have to cater for every single group and every single person, the way people work. Some people are working offshore oil and gas and they can't attend to their coins. Some people haven't got access. Look, guys, if you don't know what to do, don't sell. Just keep what you have, and as a matter of fact, buy as much as you can, and don't worry about timing a low or timing a high, because Bitcoin and cryptos is about to make a move. Once we get that final drop here, it's going to go upwards and you are going to make insane gains. Whether you bought Litecoin here at 141, I was one of the guys, and remember I told you guys this, that I bought Litecoin at 135. I spent some money and I thought it's going to break out because mathematically it must. And it didn't actually drop down. I don't care about that, you know. If Litecoin today is 135, I will still buy Litecoin because it's going to go to $1,000 plus. And then that $10 difference, I said it on the webinar yesterday, doesn't matter. The $5, the $1, the $20 spread, doesn't matter. The $40 spread, guys, it doesn't matter because it's going to go up ballistically. Now, for the guys that are like myself, Boris, Parvis, Bill Nolan, all those guys, if you know how to trade and you want to take advantage of it and you've got some cash on the sideline, you can wait for Bitcoin to drop to around about 10,000 and buy it cheaper. You can wait for Litecoin to drop a little bit cheaper. But in saying this, guys, and if Christopher, if you're on the call as well, I don't want you now to go and sell your current holdings that you have in Litecoin, because that could be that this dip doesn't dip that far and that you wait and wait and wait and it doesn't go to $80 and you're still waiting to buy at 80 and then the market bang shoots up. Now you have to go and buy Litecoin at $110, more than what you sold it for. So be very careful. I would use new money, new cash to find that low point if you want to, and then buy it. In the big scheme of things, guys, this drop is going to be very, very insignificant. But I hope that answers your question, Boris. You know, we do see a bit of a drop, but not a major drop. The bottom is not going to fall out. Look at this here. We've got this Python y-axis as support there. We've got this pink, the 2B algorithm line there. We've got a 3B there. We've got the 24B axis. I mean, there's so much support here. For Litecoin to drop here around about, like I previously stated, that we could see 75, is going to be very, very tough to do. There must be a worldwide event, like a war, or something that knocks the internet out, that will drop it, if it drops below that. But currently, with the strength in Bitcoin, and you guys remember, I posted it out about a week and a half ago, and I said, whoa, there is so much strength in Bitcoin. And the way that we calculate the strength in Bitcoin is two things. I use momentum and velocity. And if you go back to December, I started showing people how momentum works in cryptos and how velocity then works. And some people just can't comprehend it. And I understand some people can't, because I'm an engineer. I studied, I've got a master's in occupational health and safety. I've got a medical degree as well as an engineering degree. So I've got both those degrees and I can understand concepts. But I realize that some people don't. It's not because you're not smart, but it's difficult to understand momentum and velocity when you combine it now in a charting format like Bitcoin, where momentum is the amount that people buy very quickly. It creates velocity and it pushes things up. Now that momentum and velocity is still going on since December. We have not run out of steam yet, and it's going to take Bitcoin a lot higher. Guys, can I get into Ethereum, or any more questions on Litecoin?
Marius, this is Cal. You were mentioning on July the 26th, and then I think you went off on a different track. At that point, were you about to mention about moving BTC into LTC, or?
Yeah, Cal, literally, I think what we said on July 26, let me just think what we said there. Did you say in July 26 that we are moving Bitcoin then back into altcoins?
I was wondering if that's where you were headed on that.
Yes, exactly. This is what I said. My 20% Bitcoin, just to get back to that point about the Bitcoin dominance, I've moved money into Bitcoin and some altcoins into Bitcoin, 20% of my portfolio. When Bitcoin moves up around about the 26, 27, 28 July, I'm going to sell my Bitcoin once we get into approximately about a 50% rise in price in the Bitcoin price, I'm then going to start selling them incrementally back into altcoins. The altcoins I'm going to sell them into will be Litecoin, Ethereum, and Bitcoin Cash. I'm also going to look at NEO and EOS. So remember this, what I said, look at this again. I believe that Litecoin is going to outperform Bitcoin. And this 177 is only the start, the 177%. You are going to see figures here, in my opinion, are very close to about a probability of about 320. Now, if you go back to the left-hand side of this chart here, when Bitcoin breaks, and remember this, guys, when Bitcoin breaks the all-time high of 22, Litecoin is not going to sit back and just relax. It could be that Litecoin breaks the all-time high as well, because it's a show. It's a show dog. You know, it wants to be better. Do not be surprised if you see a price in Litecoin at maybe this level of 360, maybe a little bit higher of 380, even as high as 400. Now, I don't want to give those targets out yet, because if it doesn't happen, then people get disappointed. And I don't want you to be disappointed. The only thing that we see now is a break of 288. But remember what I said, this is the start of the 1,000% rise. But I can see clearly that within 14 days, we go to 288. What happens after that is just a bonus. If that happens, man, it's incredible. And that will take Litecoin even up a lot higher. Now think about this. I had a look at this morning, and I actually came to a 400% rise in price. Remember this, guys, a 400%. And I said to myself, wow, man, I can't go to my people and say, listen, we're going to eat 400%. That is 500 Litecoin. These people will think I'm stupid, you know. But I'm saying to you now that there is a probability that we could hit that level there as high as that over a little bit longer period. There you go. There's the start of the 1,000% rise. And guys, what I see in Litecoin, this rise is only a blurb. What is coming in Litecoin is going to blow the socks off of the President of the United States. He's going to sit there and watch Fox News, and they're going to mention it on Fox News. And he's going to say, man, I wish I invested my $1 billion in Litecoin. I could have made 10 billion. You know, it's crazy stuff what's happening here, but let's come down to reality. Let's come, you know, I like to take it step by step. Our first targets here, the target that we see is $288. It's going to happen over a period of 14 days, very, very quick. Now, let's get into, I quickly want to get into Ethereum, and we can come back and answer questions again. Now, Ethereum, and I know part of us that you like Ethereum. Guys, I'm big in Ethereum too. I've got a substantial amount in Ethereum. Now, with Ethereum now, again, we see the 18th as a target date where there's going to be a substantial change. Let me show you what I see in Ethereum here. I see that Ethereum goes up to this level here of 504 minimum. It breaks out of this channel and it heads up to this target here of 771. Minimum, again minimum. I don't want to give elaborate figures. Anybody can do that, and then everybody follows them. You know, this guy said it's going to go to, you know, $300,000, you know, for Bitcoin, and then everybody follows him. We're not about this. I need to be very careful what I give out to our communities, because we've now got the largest subscription base in the world, and I really want to be very careful, and I'm trying to be as accurate as possible and cater for a lot of different people, from Taiwan to Korea to America to Africa and all across the world. So we have to be careful what we do. And we're not just saying this to get more followers. It's not the case. Now our business is just booming anyway. People are signing up all over the place. So we struggle to handle all the people, really. We've even thinking of closing it down, and it's difficult to handle all people's and email. You have to have staff, enormous staff, to handle all these things. It's not about the money. It's about helping people make money. I've made my money. I can retire now. And part of us, you evidence of that. You've seen how much Ethereum we have. And, you know, so it's not that I'm bragging you too. I've made my money, Wendy and I, but we want to help the masses, thousands of people, to become multimillionaires. And if we can achieve that in the next 6 months, and guys, this is the other thing, 6 months, 9 months, there's a probability that you can achieve that. What's happening in the cryptocurrency world is nobody will ever see this ever again. This is a small window of opportunity. So
where is it coming from?
Okay, this is a great question. You know, we have looked at financial institutions. It's not financial institutions driving the market. Guys, it's the people like you and me, the blue collar workers. I have now figured it out. I was so focused on the financial institutions. When are they coming in? When are they buying? And I'm in contact with them, and they constantly tell me they buy Digibyte, and they buy small amounts every single week, every month. They just buy, and they buy Ethereum, and they buy Bitcoin, and they buy this and that. But it's not that. When we started going into Taiwan, guys, and I've told you guys this, you know, I was on a Taiwanese invitation where there was a whole bunch of people there. They invited me in, and I did a Bitcoin presentation, and they sign up to become either Python Signal members or Bitcoin Trend Forecast. And these people here that were in this room, when I came up on the screen, they jumped up. They're so happy to see you. And I suddenly realized, guys, that that the people in Taiwan, Korea, and China, they are the nicest people in the world. And you know what they do in China and Korea and Taiwan? They buy bit by bit to help everybody. They think about this: 1 billion people around the world now is starting to get into cryptos. 1 billion people, if those 1 billion people at any given week spend $100 on Bitcoin, imagine the velocity of money. It may not be a big increase in the value of cryptos, but cryptos are changing hands. So you look now at how cryptos are moving. Let's say we call it the velocity of money. It means the amount of time, Jim, for example, that you, myself, and Bill and Boris trade between us. So I give Boris money, that's 1 trade. Boris uses the money, he trades again. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. The amount of time we move it amongst each other, the velocity of that money is increasing. And it's not coming from financial institutions. We have now realized, think about this, guys. We have got teams in Nigeria and Ghana. Huge market. Bigger, in my opinion, than America. Bigger, far bigger in velocity of money. Now you look at China. Huge. But these guys don't promote it. They don't say or talk about it. They keep quiet because they don't want their governments to know what they do. This is why everybody in China goes across the border, they go into Taiwan, and they do their deals there, and they go back to China. And I don't want to elaborate too much on that because I don't want to expose people there. But the people that live in Taiwan are huge, and they are buying for other people. There's groups now buying for people. Look, guys, Taiwanese people, Chinese people, Korean people, smartest people in the world. I mean, you go to any doctor, a neurosurgeon or whatever, they'll be either Chinese or Korean or even Taiwanese. These guys are smart. They know about finances. Not that the Western world is not dumb. I mean, there's smart doctors there as well. But I'm just making a statement to give you an idea that we mustn't have an impression that these people don't know what they're doing. They know what they are doing. Carefully, they do. Now, let's quickly look here at Ethereum, where the money is coming from. We've answered that question now. Not to say that financial institutions are not going to come on board. When financial institutions see 20,000 Bitcoin and they see that it's not dropping but going up, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do everything possible to get into the crypto world, and it's going to blow upwards. This is what we see. Now, the same with Ethereum. Let's quickly get into Ethereum. Now, remember, guys, previously, and I'm going to load this old chart again. Let me just bear with me quickly, just so that I can just explain this. Just quickly here with what I see with Ethereum is that we see some sideways action here. Exactly the same with Litecoin again. We are going to see a possibility of a drop into around about 249 and then upwards again into these higher targets. Now, I want you now to focus quickly on what I showed you yesterday on the live webinars. I want you to focus on that little part there. Now, what I'm going to do is to bring the Ethereum chart up, and I'm going to show you the contraction of time. It's that one, I think. Now, just bear with me. You'll be stunned when you look at this now. Similar to Litecoin. Now look at this now. I'm going to draw the blue box. The blue box. What you see there, okay, in that blue box. And I'm going to make this, let me just make this actually a different color. We'll make it pink. And I'll make this very thick so we can see that. See that pink box there, and you see all this ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs, and then we have a breakout here, and then one more final drop, and then bang, it goes up to 1000%. Now, I'm going to go back to Ethereum now, and I'm going to make this box pink. That is what you are seeing here now. Where is pink? There we go. That pink box, there it is. See that low point there? I'm going to focus on that low point there. Let's go back to the old Ethereum chart. See that low point here where I said we're going to hit about 236, maybe 239. That low point there, there is that low point. That 1000% rise starts there. Now, can you see how we have contracted upwards, and the 1000% starts here now, days away. Literally a week away, days away. So if we see that drop here into this level here, expect that 1000% gain to start moving upwards here and hitting that level of 500 minimum. And then we actually see a higher target here for Ethereum up till about 771. Now the rise in price again, just to show you, it's going to outperform Bitcoin. We look at about 184% rise for the first rise. Only the first rise, the first little bit. Now go back to Bitcoin, and remember what I said with Bitcoin? If Bitcoin hits 22,000, it's only gone up 100%. So here somewhere along this line, here closer to 26, maybe to August, Bitcoin will run out of steam. It will still go up, but you want to convert back into altcoins. The altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin. Because think about this now, further from this point here, when Bitcoin rises here from 22,000 to 35,000, it's only 58%. At that point, you're going to see altcoins rise 300% and 400%, and Bitcoin will again lose its dominance. One quick way, Boris, for you to know, and for everybody else here, if you go to CoinMarketCap, you'll see that we are now at 65%. See there, that is your, let me just make it larger. The Bitcoin dominance is 65%. That's too much. 65. Once we hit about, and remember I said this yesterday on the webinars, if we hit about 68, 69, maybe 70, that's the end of Bitcoin dominance. Then it's going to turn into a downward cycle where the dominance will start going down even as low as 30%. Okay, so just keep that in mind, guys. So is there any questions? I'm just going to mute everybody. Just unmute yourself if you want to talk. Any questions on Ethereum before I get into Bitcoin Cash?
Dr. Tal here. So I got a question. Are we taking profits at these levels, or are we just keep riding this wave up?
No, guys, that's a great question. Thank you. Yeah, we don't take profits yet. Up till we get into Bitcoin 20,000 or we hit these targets. And closer to that time, I'm going to warn you. I'm going to warn you if I see that there is a big drop coming. There are going to be 4 drops that we have identified up till the high point year next year, January, February, March, April, May, somewhere around May, maybe a little bit earlier because time is contracting. If I see those drops, I will warn you, because at those drops is where we will take a little bit of profit off the table. But guys, even if you want to hold, and I'm serious about this, if you want to hold till we get to 80,000, just don't do anything. Similar to what I'm telling to people now here, those people who don't want to do anything, simply hold. If you don't want to increase your cryptos by selling maybe 30% and buying back, don't worry about it. Because sometimes it becomes complicated, it becomes a headache, and it's just simply difficult for people to do. And I know there's a guy on here who lives in Ecuador. We've worked with him on Litecoin, selling, buying, and sometimes we couldn't time it right, where you actually lose a bit of Litecoin. So be careful, guys, especially now. What I can tell you now is only risk-adverse investors sell and buy on the low, because you will know what you are looking for, you know the indicators, you know volume on the bottom here, you know how all these mathematical equations work. So be careful what you do. If you don't know what you do, I tell you guys, simply hold. Because if you have 10 Bitcoin at the moment and Bitcoin goes to $22,000, you've got $220,000. You may sell 10 Bitcoin on the top then think you're going to buy it lower here, just to find out that you have to start buying here in at 17,000 again. Now your Bitcoin has dropped to 9 Bitcoin. So be careful what you do. Okay?
Hi, Morris. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, it's John from Canada. I'm just curious. Do you happen to know if I was to invest in 3 to 4 coins? Do you know what those would be for the biggest percentage gains?
Yes, guys. Those coins they are Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, and Digibyte. Okay. Now, let me quickly get into, we spoke about XRP yesterday, and those of you who were on the call yesterday remember that I spoke about XRP. And Bill, I'm not sure if you are here, Bill Nolan. Let me just see if Bill is here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Bill is here. And remember, Bill, you actually made a comment when I spoke about this, and I said, Bill, look at this. And I said, this is what we expect to happen. And that one was actually there. And I said, this looks like it's actually come forward. Let me just put that. I changed that incidentally. That was actually, that was like that. Yes. Okay. And remember, I said that come here around about the 18th of September, is that we are going to have a drop and then it comes up. But then I said, wait a second. And Bill and I were talking about this on yesterday's webinar. I said, this looks like this pattern here. Look there, guys. And I said that this could have been that spike there. It's either that spike there, and this could have been a earlier spike. There's not really a spike there, but that spike could have been that one, the one that we thought that just happened earlier. Can you guys see now why I'm saying that we have got a speed up of time? No, it's not going to happen there anymore. Everything has just gone and come forward, and it looks perfectly exactly like that. Now that line there for XRP, we can move that forward as well. Yeah, here we go, 18, there we go. And the breakout is there. The 1000% breakout in XRP is going to happen earlier. And we can literally get rid of that and rid of that. And that spike that we were talking about is going to happen here. Now remember this, guys, XRP goes up vertical like you will not believe. Unbelievable. Let's quickly have a look at Digibyte. I didn't prepare any Digibyte documentation here, but I'm just going to have a look at Digibyte as well. Could it be that we are, okay, let's have a look at this. This could be, if there's a speed up of time, we could have this, where that has now actually ended, and that is your ABCD cycle for that. Something similar like this. And I'm just looking at that now, where this actually now is basically almost there. And the speed up, instead of waiting, it's actually going to happen a lot earlier. Now, Digibyte is one of the coins, I think from memory, where I said it breaks out first. You're going to have Digibyte break out first, then XRP. You're going to see Litecoin go up, and then the rest follows. So your 1000% gain is going to happen a little bit earlier. Now, I was expecting that we would come down to this red line here. See that red line, which is basically the line that will indicate to me that, let me just move this out. See that drop that we had here, that red dotted line there. I'm just going to zoom in. I was hoping that we would see somewhere of a movement closer to this level here. See that level there? But that level there is still a little bit too high. But it could be, Bill, that we still have a bit of a downwards move here, where we go approximately to maybe that level there. So DigiByte could perhaps make another low before it breaks out. Okay, so those are the 5 coins. Those are the 5 that I recommend. Now, Bitcoin Cash. Remember on yesterday's webinar, we actually looked at this. We said that this one here is very interesting actually when I re-looked at all this data again. We said that we expect the market to move, let me just get that arrow, upwards here into that level there of about 847. Then we drew this in. See this orange line there? And we said that this then is going to drop into this blue box here. And on yesterday's webinar, I made this uncanny evidence. And I said, look, it looks to me like this is the drop here. And that drop there is just a little bit lower. It's not as big as this drop here. And I said, this looks very similar that we are actually speeding up in time. So now, and I didn't prepare much on Bitcoin Cash, but I'm just going to remove all these things here and show you what we see here. If I take the 53-day algorithm cycle here, you can see here was the high point. 53 days later, now remember this high point here, the 53-day cycle ended here and we spiked right up there, upwards there, 53 days later up to a high point, and then a down point here, but with a breakout that is potentially going to happen. Again, the data that we see is this target here of $1,309 for Bitcoin Cash. So that's minimum. So again, if we look at the price range and I go from this point here and I move it upwards to there, that is about a 278% gain. If we take it back to this line here of 847, that's 139% gain. It outperforms Bitcoin by far. Bitcoin goes up 92% to this level. But Bitcoin Cash, which follows more or less the same path as Bitcoin at this moment, is heading upwards. And I believe that it could head into that target there of 1309. That is only the start for Bitcoin Cash. Bitcoin Cash should be about 9.5, 9.7, rounded off 10% of the value of Bitcoin. So if that is the case, and it speeds up and it gets to the value of Bitcoin at about $22,000, it should be around about there at about 530% gain, which gives us, and again, guys, these are just hypothetical prices, and we talk about 2,200 for Bitcoin Cash, which is about 530, and let's have a look and see where the all-time high was. Look at this, guys. It's still well under the all-time high. Crazy. I'm just looking at it now. Now, remember, Bitcoin is about, at that point there, that is about 22,000. That means that Bitcoin Cash is at that point about 5,000. I'm not saying it's going to get hit there, but just keep in mind, there's a probability. Okay, guys, let's open for questions.
Miles, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
My first question is like, when you see the breakout in Bitcoin Cash, and the second question is like, there is Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV. So how Bitcoin SV is going to impact on Bitcoin Cash?
Okay, great question, guys. The Bitcoin SV is something that we have very little data on. And personally, if I don't have any data on a coin, I don't trade it. It doesn't mean that you must not trade it. Feel free to trade it. Because remember this, a few weeks ago, Bitcoin Cash doubled in price unexpectedly. If you had $100,000, sorry, Bitcoin SV. If you had 100,000 in Bitcoin SV, you suddenly had 200,000. So I'm not saying disregard Bitcoin SV. But with all the nonsense going on with Bitcoin SV, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to be involved in it. So that's why I say I'd rather go to Bitcoin Cash ABC and trade Bitcoin Cash ABC. Now, I don't have enough data on Bitcoin SV to make an informed decision. Because remember, if I bring up Bitcoin SV, I have to sit here in my computer and I have to tell you that I have data that shows that it's going to go to 1309. I just can't do it. I can do it on Bitcoin Cash ABC. Because remember, we talk about responsibility as well. I can't just come out here and throw figures out. We have to back it up with some form. Because if it doesn't reach that top there, I need to come back to you and tell you why it only went up to 847. And then maybe later we will go there. But I can't back my data up on Bitcoin SV. I hope that answers your question there. And then the next question that you asked is, you said, when do you think Bitcoin Cash ABC will break out? We see it after the 18th, this time here. See that blue line here? Look, guys, this is how it's going to work out, in my opinion. If you look at Bitcoin as your canary in the coal mine, when Bitcoin reaches this level here of 18, 19, 20, or 21, remember that time frame? I'm not saying it's exactly the 18th. You know, there's nowhere in the world that I can anymore put a date and say, listen, guys, it's going to break out on the 18th. There's going to be a day, 2, 3, give it a few days, just a timeline. You know, I've got 2 or 3 people that canceled overnight because they keep on saying that, or they say that your dates are completely wrong. You say it's going to break out on the 14th, and it didn't happen. The breakout was on the 17th. Or the breakout happened a week ago. And, you know, I can't help those people, you know, and I constantly say that our dates are not correct. Work in a time frame. Look at the pattern. Guys, enlarge your vision a little bit and look at the overall play of Bitcoin. Forget about figures, forget about dates. Now, emotionally look at Bitcoin and see that channel, and you see that moving upwards. We are just trying, we are attempting to put figures in, like 22,000, and we are attempting to put a date in, which is the date of 15 August. The other thing is also use this data as a guideline to do your own research. For goodness sake, guys, there are so many smart people on this call. I mean, the other day we had a billionaire on our webinars, a billionaire that lives in Texas. When I spoke to this guy, I realized, man, this guy is the smartest guy in the entire world. You know, I would love to bring those people on, but he doesn't want to be identified who he is. But all I can say is, if you guys know, if I mention his name, you all will know him, all around the world. Now, we've got people on here that do astrology. Now, I know that the Christians, I've got so many emails from Christians that says we shouldn't touch astrology. Guys, we are not using astrology in the sense of the devil astrology. But if you look at the sun, the moon, the stars, and how everything aligns, you know, Jesus was born, there was a big star in the sky, and 3 days later, certain events were in the sky. Have a look at the sky, you know, use astrology in that term. And there are guys on here, I tell you guys, we have tested it. Those things work. The timelines work. And there's a whole bunch of other factors that you also need to take into account. Whatever you use, feel free to use it. Don't feel that you're under condemnation about anything. Use whatever you can use, and come and tell us what you use. We would like to have the data, and then I can incorporate that data and give you better results. Because my goal is to help you become multi-millionaires. Sorry, somebody wanted to say something there?
Marius, one more question I have, like, do you think Bitcoin is going to hit 100K by December this year?
Yeah, I think let's be careful about those kind of figures and say by the end of the year, you know, because everybody wants to know what's going to happen by the end of the year. But what I can tell you, I see about 80, what did I say the other day on the webinar, about $83,000. That is a big possibility. But for now, I reckon we first must focus on breaking 15, 17, and 22. When we break that, we will do another webinar like this. And we're going to target the next target of 35,000, then 60 and 80. There's a big probability, and thank you for your question, there's a big probability that we will hit 80, but I do not see 100,000 at that point. Not before the end of the year. And remember this, guys, the Bitcoin year doesn't work on the normal calendar year. The Bitcoin year works different. It works from 1 April. Okay, 1 April till the next year, the end of March. That is a Bitcoin year. the algorithm cycles for some reason fall in that term, where you get a high point, and then here at about the last 2 months you get a low point. So the cycle may actually, the high cycle may actually be faster upon us, and the last month or 2 or weeks perhaps just a down cycle, and then the algorithm cycle starts over again. But I can tell you that in my data that I am looking at, I'm looking at 300,000 Bitcoin for the top. Remember, we came out the other day and we said about 150, and I said I want to keep it in the range of 150 to 300. My highest target that I see is 300,000. The lowest target about 150. That's for the high point for Bitcoin. So you imagine if you have 10 Bitcoin at the moment, and it reaches 150 per Bitcoin, you're 1.5 million. So, but remember, guys, these figures are, I want to call them pie in the sky ideas. It hasn't happened yet. But it's good to dream. It's good to have those numbers in your head. But keep in mind, let's come down to earth and let's have a look at where we are now. We are now here at 11,000 Bitcoin. We want to go to 15, 17, and 22. The same as what we were here. I just quickly want to say this. Yeah. I just want to say this. Here in the bottom here, we were at 3,000. Who here on this webinar envisioned that we would get to 12,000? Now remember, we said at that point here, we said we're going to hit 14,000. It sounded impossible. Okay, now I'm saying again, we are here at this level, year 11. We're going to hit 22. Then we're going to hit 80. It sounds impossible, but it's going to happen. Yes, Boris?
Yes, 150 to 300,000. Those are numbers you're referring to next year before halving of Bitcoin.
Correct. Yeah, that's next year. Because I see before the end of this year that we could hit basically 80,000. And then remember this, Boris, for Bitcoin to go to 150, when Bitcoin is 80,000, what must happen? It must just double in price, 100% gain. It's done it multiple times here. From 3,000, there was 100% gain, and it went to 6,000. Then it doubled again from 6 to 12,000. From 80,000, it can double 100% again. Then it's 160. And from 160, double again. Oh, bang, 300,000. It's not impossible.
There's still this possibility of ETF being approved. There's a lot of talk about it, that the SEC is still reviewing everything.
Exactly.
They're postponing it. And if this comes in, you've got all your, big money, pension funds, mutual funds. I mean, everybody will have access to it. And that could push the price sky high, really. That's probably what's going to be the catalyst.
Look, there are so many things, guys, and we will quickly talk about one of the things here. One of the things that are going to push Bitcoin up is something incredible. There's not a word for that yet. But let's use hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is when a certain product goes from $10, or let's say we talk about bread, where bread is 30 cents today. In another year, it's $1, and another 6 months is suddenly $2, and another 3 months later, bang, it's $4 for a bread. Guess where it happened already? In 1 year or 2 years. Guess in what country? Australia. Australia, guys. It's already happened here. Guess where meat went from $18 a kilo for good quality meat to almost now $50 in 1 year. Good quality meat. Now guess what happened with chicken thighs. Chicken thighs were $4.99 about 9 months ago. What is the price of chicken thighs today? Who is here in Australia who can tell me what the price of chicken thighs are?
$12 a kilo.
Exactly, guys. There you heard it. Not from me, from someone else. Look at that.
Marius, are you sure it's not kangaroo that they're selling?
Yeah, what is it? 300% inflation all of a sudden in thighs?
Yeah, guys, this is happening under our noses. Now, the president of the USA knows this. Guess how Donald Trump is going to get rid of the United States debt? I'm going to give you a secret here, and many people know this. Now, If the debt, I don't know what the debt is. If the debt is now 20, is it 20 trillion or how much is it?
It's over 20 trillion.
20
And
trillion.
that's not including unfunded liabilities.
Okay. Easy thing what Donald Trump is going to do is he's going to allow inflation to kick in, not hyperinflation. There's a different word for it. I can't get it yet. Somebody's going to come out with a name that includes the tariffs in the world, the financial system, cryptocurrencies, everything that's interlinked. And we're waiting for that name, and you're going to see that name will come out. It's going to be something like hyperinflation. All Donald Trump needs to do is to increase hyperinflation by 100%, and he halved the debt in the USA from 20 trillion to 10 trillion. He can do it by creating inflation in properties. Why would he not do it? Because he's a property guy. He wants his properties to be valuable. If his properties now rise 100% in value, what has happened with his bank loan? His bank loan decreased 50%. He's a smart businessman. He's not dumb. He's there and he's going to do it. This is why I say the housing crash in the world is not going to happen. Not in the next 2 years. I don't believe it will ever happen. Housing will become more expensive. If you own $1 million property, be prepared that that house will now be 2 million. If you haven't bought a house yet, you better get into cryptos and make money, because cryptos will go up astronomical. And this is what we are talking about now. It's not going to happen. It's happening now while we are talking. Guys, it's going to skyrocket.
Is that because it's a safe haven, or is that, because Boris, you were saying how you think the banks are coming in and the ETFs, and that's going to drive it. But what I'm really hearing is that everyone and their mother is going to be bugging out because of hyperinflation, the mom and pops, and they're going to be getting into it.
Well, I think it's happening now. You've got retail investors in this thing, and they've been buying it for some time. Now, institutional money has not come in, and that is what could be the catalyst, the big catalyst from everything I read. And this is ETF. This is a ETF approval when it comes. There was also something in there about 25 Bitcoins per 1 unit of the fund. And if that happens, you can imagine what the price could be. I mean, who can buy today 25 Bitcoins? Mm-hmm. Not many people. So once institutional money comes in, they could take this thing out of reach of a retail guy.
Absolutely.
If you're not in by the end of 2019, and then good luck.
Hey, Marius, this is sorry, this is York again. I got another question. One is about NEO. You haven't mentioned it today, but I think you mentioned in the past that it could go well up to $800. And the second part is related to KBC. Do you have any update on KBC?
Yes, quickly, let's talk about NEO. NEO, all you need to do with NEO, remember there's a few coins that I said, EOS, NEO, and IOTA. Simply buy and keep. Don't bother about selling it. Keep it. Don't worry if you buy NEO at 20 and it drops to 15. Doesn't matter. That little spread is going to become insignificant. I believe the top of NEO, according to our own data, is going to be between 800 and 850. Just simply hold it. I can give you guys this confirmation. In Taiwan, they are buying NEO and EOS. And guess what, guys? The Taiwanese, they want to help everybody. They want to help their fellow citizen. Every week, they buy a little bit of NEO, a little bit of EOS. And they keep on doing it week after week after week. Now, with regard to KBC, KBC is a little bit of a disappointment in the sense that KBC, although you can transfer 100 KBC and you can convert it into 1 gram of gold, that specific promise of the company is done, and we can give them a thumbs up for that. The thumbs down is the fact that although we can convert the 100 KBC into 1 gram of gold, which is approximately 46 cents, is that the price of KBC has not yet reached upwards to the 46 cents. Now, The other thumbs down is the fact that I can convert my KBC in 1,000 grams of gold, 1 kilogram, 5 kilograms of gold. The problem is I can't get it out because I live in an area in Brisbane where there's no ATM. Now, if you live in America and Las Vegas, you can literally go to an ATM. You can convert into gold. You know, they say you convert it in your bonus UNV in your back office. That is actually gold. What you can do now, you can go and say, I want to sell that gold. And you can literally go to an ATM and you can extract your gold out of the ATM. They give you like, it looks like paper money with the 1 gram or 0.1 gram of gold on it. You can even get 1 gram apparently. Somebody showed me that yesterday. Yesterday we had a meeting here in Brisbane at a coffee shop, and I met with Jacques' son, Darsu. His name is Darsu. So we met with him. Myself was there, Wendy was there, and he showed us how they actually extract the gold. And he showed me the paper money. Now there's a guy in Brisbane who has just bought an ATM, and he's going to set it up. A Chinese guy who owns a Chinese restaurant, a very well-known one. And he's going to put it inside his restaurant where people can come in with KBC. You take your normal card, you know, your Visa or MasterCard, and you put it in the machine and you extract the gold out of it. Now, what I recommend, guys, with KBC, now keep in mind, I went the other day in this week and I spent about $4,600. I bought 100,000 KBC. Remember, I spent 4,600. I went in my back office, I converted that to 1 kilogram of gold, which was worth about, I think, 46 or 47,000. And my bank account in KBC immediately increased with that amount. So I made $40,000 just by increasing or converting the KBC into bonus UNVs. You go in your back office, you just exchange it. But the problem is, this is the big problem. Although I have the money there, I can't access the money. It's like kind of having fake money. And this is why people are furious. This is why people are annoyed. And this is why, and I can't blame people. Now, for me, I don't want to go on social media sites and hit the company all over the place because I'm looking at the larger view picture. Just yesterday, the company came out and they said that people that are platinum members or testament members, go back into your Carrot-Bit exchange, you'll see it's now there. One of the comments under platinum, now I'm a platinum member, but I will now be able to convert my BUNV, they call it bonus UNIVIL. A BUNV is 1 gram of gold or gold, it's physical gold. I will be able now in the future to convert that into my debit or credit card, debit card. It's a debit card, master debit card. And then I will be able to apparently spend it. I can buy food, I can buy a car, I can pay for rates and taxes. So that area has not yet been finalized or announced by the company. But from what I hear, it's in the process of happening. Now just be patient with the Carrot bars. I really believe they're not a scam. In all honesty, guys, they can do 2 things better. They can do their marketing better. Well, they can do a whole bunch of things better, but they can do their marketing better. They can do their website a lot more easier, which they don't do. And number 3, they can bump up their support. And for whatever reason, they just don't do it. They keep on giving you bad support. I know because I get these emails where the company doesn't come back to them. They've bought one Bitcoin worth of KBC and the KBC is not there, but the company doesn't come back. Their website is so difficult to handle. Their support is bad. But ultimately, I think all these things will be ironed out and things will start getting better. I hope that answers your question.
Is there any
Thanks, Marius.
Can you hear me?
is there any word on the amount or max from a cash machine, from an ATM, like in Vegas?
I don't know. I've never tested one of those machines. Apparently somebody told me it's only 1 gram of gold, but then I see videos of people pulling out 10 grams of gold. So it's a little bit confusing. I haven't got the right information.
Okay, if you do get the information, let me know because I will fly to Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those machines aren't in circulation yet, as far as I know.
Yeah, they're coming in about 4 weeks. That's what the company says. And you're right. I mean, the liquidity of the gold is a bit of a problem at the moment. But I think people just need to be a bit patient because there's, obviously big announcements planned for September with the phone and the mainnet and all that.
Guys, I tell you now, that money is going to become available and you will be able to use it. A simple reason, let me tell you why. If the company doesn't make it available, 1 or 2 people are going to walk in at the New York Securities and Exchange Commission, and they're going to tell them and show them what is happening. And guess what the New York attorney will do? The same as what they did with Bitfinex, they will halt operations. I tell you now, this will happen. I'm not telling people to go and do it. Don't do it, guys. But I'm just saying, if the company is a scam or they do things illegal or they don't give the money to people, that's what's going to happen. The New York Attorney General has got the power all over the world. They can call Germany, they can call Switzerland, they can call any country where this company operates. They will halt operations immediately. They have showed you that they can do it. I thought the New York Attorney General didn't have authority in Taiwan. May I say Hong Kong. But they do. It's crazy stuff. It's all interlinked. Now, I believe this company is honest, they're ethical, they're trying their best. And the other thing is also, remember this, I think this company didn't believe that they're going to get this amount of response from customers all over the world. I mean, how many people are on their Facebook page now? I saw the other day, 22,000 people, and it's growing like enormously. So you imagine if one person on the Facebook page start posting things about the New York's Attorney General and all these things, it will go crazy, guys. So I believe in the company. I believe they're solid. I'm having a phone conversation with Tony de Gouveia, Tertius Bester, and a whole bunch of other people in KBC on Tuesday morning, 7 o'clock my time, which is Monday their time. And I think I'm just going to hear the same again, that all is good. We just need to be patient. And guys, I tell you now, if you have some money, number one, I tell you now, if you haven't got 1 kilogram of gold, I know it sounds like a fairy story. I don't make money out of you doing this. Remember this, I don't get paid for this. But go, if you have $6,000, go and buy the KBC, convert it in your back office. From 6,000, you'll immediately have 1 kilogram of gold. If you have that money, you can do it. Park it there, just leave it there. But keep in mind it's risky. You can lose it as well. That's what I did. Keep it there. Maybe it just comes through. It's not a big risk. I'm talking of people that have got a lot of money now, you know. If you only have 6,000 cryptos, don't do it. It must be 1% of your portfolio, not more. Yes, Boris?
I'm sorry. 1 kilo, that's 1,000 grams, right? If I remember right. Yeah, so this is about 32 ounces of in US.
Correct.
32 ounces would cost you, over $40,000, wouldn't it?
Correct.
I thought you said 6,000.
Yeah, but look, this is the thing. You can buy 100,000 KBC for $6,000. I don't know. What is the price? Let's go and work it out. What is the price of KBC at the moment?
0.41.
There you go. It's even cheaper now. So you can buy 100,000 KBC for $4,000. You go in your back office, you convert the 100,000 KBC into 1 kilogram of gold. Immediately you have the value of about 46,000, more or less where the gold price is.
Actually, on BTC, it's 0.37 cents right now.
Yeah, but is it possible to convert it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You can convert it, like he says. We've all tried it already. We've converted it into grams, and kilos. But the problem is, like he says, is how are we going to get it out?
Exactly. How are you going to collect it, right?
Yeah, and this is the problem. But what I'm talking about, Boris, is that if you want to do it, you probably should do it now before the price goes up. Remember this: that price will not stay where it is. That price is going to go up crazy. I'm just going to log into my own account. Now I have to do two-factor authentication. Okay, bugger that. Anyway, when you go into your carrotbit.com exchange, you buy 100,000 KBC there, and then you simply click. You say convert my KBC into BUNV. It means gold. BUNV is gold. And 100 KBC will give you 1 kilogram of gold, and then you've got the value of $46,000. So that is how you do it. It's very easy to do it. But guys, look, I want to make it clear. You do it if it's 1% of your portfolio, or number 2, if it's money that you are willing to lose. Remember this, risk reward. I've done it. I actually own 5 kilograms of gold. I'm just going to hold it there. Guess what I spend to get there? Very little. And the company better come through, because I will pounce on them. You know, we will make it happen. It must happen, because I've got my gold in there. I want my money. You know, they can't keep it there. Okay, anyway, that's enough about KBC, guys. Look, guys, let me just quickly stop this webinar. We can carry on and, with some questions, but let me stop this, and then we're basically done. So thank you very much for everybody that's been on the call today. I wish you all good luck, and this is the end of the presentation.